All right, yogis. So, whether you're started seated on the chair or seated on the floor, let's start seated position. So, a lot of yoga classes will start standing on the knees, seated or laying. Either way, we always kind of warm up the major joints, the spinal column, and the core. Okay. So, let's get right into it, yogis. We're going to go for about 45 minutes this evening. You guys know I'm still having my appointment at 7 p.m. I have to make it to, okay? So we're gonna sit up nice and tall, and we're gonna start with some core movements. So just start to take it easy, all right? I just start to circle my core. Remember that movement is a great way to increase range of motion in the body, and it also is a form of strengthening, right? So it's really nice here to just start to circle the core. Now, say sitting on the floor is a little too much, right? You can just start to go like this. Hands can be on the knees, and I'm just starting to move the torso. Okay, I lift my chest, side bend, forward bend, and I'm bracing myself a little better. So much easier to do it right here, right? If you have trouble sitting on the floor and it like hurts your back, maybe it's a good idea for you to do it. Okay, got a few more breaths. Let's circle the opposite direction. I want you to think of this like core maintenance. A lot of times the body's like stuck in arching or rounding. And we're just bringing a more complex style of movement into the abdominal, lower back, and side bodies. Make sure you're gonna circle both directions, okay? So we're just thinking warm up, nothing too strenuous. All right, next little movement here. So let's not think stretch just yet. Let's think open up. Big inhale. You're just going to exhale, gently twist to the left. Inhale, center, and exhale, twist right. So if you're seated in the chair, same thing. Big inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. So it's a repetitive, moving twist of the core, okay? If you know any other twisting warm-up you prefer to do, that is totally fine. We have plenty types on the back, plenty of them in tabletop or in standing position. You can see I've speeded it up a little bit. I'm just kind of going side to side. Notice I am upright, okay? Once you know the exercise, no more looking at the screen. Go close your eyes, start to feel your body. Yogis, and remember, this is all core work. We are literally squeezing your digestive tract. So, one or two, as I mentioned, I know it's a 6 p.m. class, but, you said, I ate a little while ago or something. You really want to take this easy. The new science is very clear. You should never eat right before exercise. The new science showed that eating before exercise increases injury potential by 10,000%. 10,000%. 1,000% is increasing your chance by 10 times. 10,000% is 100 times more likely to strain muscle because all the blood flows in your digestive tract, and it's not in the muscles supporting the spinal column right now, which is what we're moving. So the modern science is 4 hours. You have to eat 4 hours before exercising. They say 2 hours is okay. You can push it 2 hours, right? But 4 hours ideal. You'll be like completely digested pretty much. Depending on your diet. All right, so let's keep going. Just take it easy. If you did eat, just go light. That's all, okay? Now it's a little side bend. This one's a little challenging seated. You're just gonna go here, okay? Now, if you're seated, maybe we switch up your legs here, all right? We're still in spinal and core movements. So you just kind of go side to side. I want you to move the body, yogis. We can't just stretch, okay? Just get into your underarm here and take it slow. Don't feel like you have to bend deep. See, that's sometimes what happens in flexibility class. People get this idea. It's like, I'm not doing good unless I can go far. I was stretching a gentleman out last night in a private session, and he was asking me, how good is my range of motion? He's 61, and I was like, well, relative to what? He could get 90 degrees with a hamstring. That's pretty good. You know, we're not trying to be Olympic gymnasts, so don't feel like you have to go too crazy. All right? Back to center, please. Let's lean back a little bit. Now, my legs are going to go forward. Now, I'll show in a minute. I just want to start to move my legs. Here's first option. All right? Where I just kind of circle my legs. It's only movement. It's not supposed to be difficult. If you want a little bit more, it looks like this. If you're seated, this one's a little tough, right? The hip rotation. You got to kind of brace yourself. And this kind of looks like this. I like to kind of sit on the edge in the corner, and it allows a little bit more movement. You can also do something like this, or like this even. The idea is to rotate your hip joint. Simplest could be leaning back and just kind of going like this. You'd be surprised, yogis. That's a subtle movement, but it is all the rotators. You can't really rotate your hip that much. Look. So it's not really supposed to be a big movement. All right, same thing. Don't get obsessed with doing it too deep. All right. All right, yogis. Let's go slow. Now we will go for a stretch in first position. You know, this is safe to do cold, but if you are still not really warmed up, I do want you to just take it easy. We're going to cross our right shin in front of our left. If you're seated, it's figure 4 in the seat. All right. Right shin in front of the left. Let's take a big inhale. Let's sit up. And then let's start to forward fold. Let's take a few deep breaths now. Here I want you to shift gears and get into what we call the pranayama, or the breath work. So if you're seated, trying to cross your right ankle atop your left knee is good here. Remember, it's a little easier if you bring the left foot more forward, then you won't have to be in such a hyper range. So from the side, you can see the figure 4, okay? So you're just gonna sit up nice and tall, flex the foot, and start to forward fold. Deep breathing helps protect the body, helps release tension, helps to center you. Okay, big inhale, please. Let's not hold that too long. You're gonna slowly switch sides, shaking your body out a little bit, please. Left ankle atop right knee, or left shin in front of right. So second side of the figure of the Sukhasana. I usually, if I do this class early, this position early, I don't do the compression form or like the pigeon you're familiar with. You're more than welcome to add that. Remember, that is an option. So let's forward fold a little bit. Let's breathe. If you want a little bit, if you're seated, again, it's kind of like here, figure 4. Maybe just coming forward a little bit, not forcing anything. All right, so please take your time, shake it out here. As you notice, we're revisiting the forms that we did in movement, but now in stretch. So when you're done there, give it a little shake, right? It's always good to neutralize. Seated spinal twist. Bend your knees, knees together, maybe feet together. We're gonna bring the right arm outside the thigh. Notice I wrap it in front. I do sit up and I twist left. If you're seated in the chair, same thing as we did earlier, just here, now holding. Remember, yogis, I want to try not to round, and I'm not leaning my back against the chair. So I am doing a little work here to sit up tall, okay? And then I twist to the left. It is an easier form of a twist. It is our first hold of a twist. Be easy on your body, yogis, all right? Nice, looks good. Okay, let's do our second side, please. If you want to switch the crossing your legs up. Big inhale, back to center. We got one more part here, yogis. and it is the side bend. If the legs going wide is very difficult, you don't really have to obsess with how wide your legs go. With practice, you try to get them a little bit wide, okay? We're just gonna bring our right hand down, a little bit of support. I do try to sit up nice and tall, and then I side bend. All right, now, if you are seated, this one's a little tricky. Notice how I'm gonna keep my left arm on the chair. My left leg's gonna kind of go out to the side here. My right leg's out to the side. Now I can kind of hold on here a little bit, right, if I need, and then the left arm kind of goes up and over like this. You gotta play with this one, it's a little tricky, okay, on the chair. If this is too much, you could just do something like this. But if you wanna get that leg out, like a lot of us are doing here, notice it's like that. The goal is to stretch our side body mainly. The leg is secondary. Okay, let's switch sides. It's pretty simple, yogis. Your spine moves forward and back, side to side. It rotates, and then it does that circular motion that we did earlier. It's hard to stretch in that circular motion, right? But these are all the isolated ways that your spine moves. So, we're about to do forward and back to close this all up, okay? Now, I want you to take it slow. You're gonna finish that up. And for people on the ground, you can just throw your legs forward now. Take a nice inhale if you'd like to reach up. You're gonna reach for your toes, take a couple breaths. Don't force it. Now, if you're in the chair, this one does start bending. So you can straighten your legs a little, use your hands and your thighs to support your body and start to hinge forward, kind of going here toward the feet. Head hangs a little bit lower, okay? There are ways to do this a little bit stronger. You might have to stand up, but it does kind of, look like this if you're comfortable with it. It does also, if that's too much, kind of being here. It depends on your level, yogis, all right? But easiest is something like this. Nice, Jesse. Yeah, I'd like to see you guys. There's a lot of versions here. As long as we're getting a little bit more like a stretch through the back, maybe in the underarms a little bit, the hamstrings, you're doing good, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, yogis, just take a big inhale. And just for a moment here, we're gonna sit up and lean back and shake our legs out. And I just want you to get into your smaller joints. So seated position, you kind of roll out your wrists. Okay, maybe roll out your ankles so my legs went forward. All right, slowly. Now, I am gonna make my way to tabletop for a few moments. If you can't be in tabletop, maybe stand up like this, okay, with your chair. What we're gonna do is called cat-cow. It looks like this standing. Inhale, a little bend in the knees, lift your heart. Exhale with support of the chair. So I want you to move your core forward and back. If you're in tabletop, it looks like this, same exercise, okay? You can also do this seated. It tends to be a little bit more challenging. You go here, I am arching, exhale, I'm rounding, okay? I want you to move that spine now, forward and back. That's the action that we're lacking as far as the dynamic movement. See that? Or it looks like this, yogis. I love the chair yoga personally. This helps me kind of do it in a way that I never can do without the chair. Now, please take your time. Our next position is the downward facing dog. So you guys know down dog on the floor. If you're with me seated, there is on the chair, there are a few options. Now, you know, something like this is just like down dog. You see how I have my hands on the chair? Just be careful your chair doesn't fall, all right? My feet are a little wide. I'm walking my feet back, and I'm trying to drop my chest a little bit down. Okay, there shouldn't be too much pressure on the wrist there. The weight is more like the underarms. If you don't feel that much, you could do your hands on the lower part of the chair. There is another option to get something. It's kind of like a calf stretch. It's kind of like this. It's almost like a lunge, right? Where the back leg, look at that, heel to hip is in down dog. It's just your upper body is not, right? So your leg is in dog. So this is the easiest. Down dog full version is strongest, like this. Last breath or 3. If you're doing one leg, please switch sides. And I know all you guys know yoga, so I don't mind if you switch it up. Listen to your body, please. What I say is not absolute. I want you to, like, in that moment, your body tells you something. That's called like a referral. Like you stretch one muscle and you're like, ooh, I stretch this and this lit up. I want to stretch this now. That's fine, okay? Don't be shy now. All right, yogis, we're going to go right into something. Grounded demonstration first. We're going to sit on the heels. Everyone's favorite, right? So if you can't do this, wait for me in a moment. I'll show you standing version. Now, I am going to ask you to try to go back a little today. The arms coming back of us, they were just in forward and up, and the knees were just straight, the toes were flexed. This is an opposite position. If that's way too much, totally get it, because that's not easy. Holding the chair, shifting your weight to left hand, left foot, right hand behind you, try to grab the foot. Now, I get it. Maybe the knee won't bend well. This is a tough one. So, you can do things, it's not easier to do it like this though, but some people like to do it like this. It's not my favorite version. I've seen this in chair yoga before. I was watching some videos about chair yoga. I don't like this one at all, but some people seem to really like this thing. Another thing people do here is lay on their side. So you could lay down. Well, it's all basically the same stretch here and kind of go like this. I want to start bringing the heel to the butt. I'm asking you to bend the knee, okay? Heel to butt, pull the knee behind you and pull your belly in a little bit. Last couple of breaths. If you're doing one side, let's switch it up here soon. Nice, yep, everyone's looking pretty good there that I can see. You guys doing your second leg, right? Let me see. Nice, I like that option, Kathleen. Got the top of the foot on the chair, right? Nice. Yeah, you know your modifiers. That's a nice one too. So, some people, if you come off a knee surgery, you got to be really careful bending that knee and, gradually build up into it. You don't want to sit on your heel. Just even bending it a little bit will do you good, right? And then you slowly put it maybe up on a little higher surface. You don't want to force it. Now, our next thing is going to be the Sphinx. So it is what we call 2 frontline stretches. We do want to stretch our front body a lot, yogis, because we're kind of like this a lot. Everything is kind of shortened, rounded. So we want to start going more here. First, ground pose is the Sphinx. So it looks like this. Cobra would be the strong variation. If you can't do that, a really nice, easy, effective version is going like this. If you want a little bit more, you turn your back to the chair and you lift the chest up. What I don't want to see here, yogis, is the back arch. See how the buttock sticks behind me? No good. That is dumping weight to your back. Watch. I want the hips forward and that chest to lift. Okay? We got a few more breaths.
Yeah, I want you to stretch out your front body. So mainly like your chest and your abdomen here. And then if you get into it, even the hip flexors a little bit. Because the last posture we did was front ankle, front lower leg, front upper leg, maybe a little bit of abdomen and hip flexor. And now it's kind of like the spine, the neck, and it kind of, those two are working together. All right.
All right, yogis, so listen, you're gonna finish up that stretch. I wanna keep going because we're already about 25 minutes in. This class goes really fast. So I want you to kind of shake it out. If you're standing, you do something like this. If you're laying, you just do something like this. They're similar, spinal and hip rotations. Same thing, okay? And we're gonna go for one of my all-time favorite stretches, the big chest stretch. Regulars, everyone in attending does know this stretch. It does look like this with the right arm out. I roll to my right side. Now, if you're going to do this standing, I'd rather have you not use the chair. I'd rather have you find the wall maybe. So, because the chair is not, it's going to give too much, right? I want the arm to pull back. So I'd find a wall, I'd reach that arm out, and then I'd turn my chest away. I'd feel a nice stretch coming through the arm, the shoulder, the chest.
Yeah, I just took my pup on a long walk and run, and now she's sleeping. That's my new trick. I like tie her up before class.
All right, yogis, let's do our second side. Remember,
why are we doing this pose? Because the arms are here a lot, right? So the arms are in front of us like this. Whether it's doing dishes or a computer or driving, or a lot of people sleep like this, or cell phones, cooking, eating, it's all like in here. So these repetitive conditions of body parts, muscles, they cause a muscle to get fascially adhered and stuck in a certain space. Your muscles will be constructed a certain way via your patterns. So in a sense, we're trying to balance out the musculoskeletal aspects of a joint, right? So this is kind of pulling it back, which is going to stretch out all that tightness that's here, right? So second side, please. Your left arm reaches out and you roll to your kind of left side a little bit. I know some of these stretches are repetitive, but I'll tell you, this is how we're going to get benefit. It is by repetition. That's what caused tightness and bad posture. And we do have to repeat a lot of these, let's say, imbalances to find a little bit more of like the homeostasis of a joint. If you think of your shoulder, it's like two pulleys, one on the back, one on the front, even one on the side, one underarm, depending on which one's being used more. So a lot of the kinesiologists, the reason I do that so much is because a lot of the kinesiologists basically say that's maybe the most important upper body stretch there is. Yeah, more important than the lat. That's the debate, the lat or the pec major.
It depends on the person, right? Because the reason the lat's so stuck short is because our arms are always here. And that keeps this all locked. Okay, that's your lat. All right, let's get out of there, yogis. We're gonna do a child pose. Now, child pose in the chair is not easy. Our easiest bet for child pose on the chair is something like this. Where I pull the knee up into my chest here. I try to squeeze it in. You could lay on your back and pull your knee into your chest. That's also pretty much the same, okay? But I do want you to hold child pose for a few breaths. If you want it to go stronger, it's yogi squat. They're all the same postures. Whether you child pose, yogi squat, or lay on your back and bring your knees into your chest. So if you're on your back, both knees come in, you give it a little squeeze. Hold the position, take a few breaths.
Yeah, nice. Happy baby. I think I see you doing there. That's a great, another option. That is kind of similar to our yogi squat. Nice, Laura. Nice, Jesse.
All right, yogis, now please take your time. We're gonna make our way, I'll let you decide, up to tabletop or sitting in the chair. You can sit, you can stand, you can sit on a chair for our neck work. I do wanna do a little extra neck work this evening. Sometimes I don't do enough there, and that's not good. If we do yin, normally it's not really that much neck. We should be doing that more often, okay? So let's sit up nice and tall, and just by starting, we'll bring our chin to our chest. Like say you want to do a huge stretch, it's called plow posture. But in essence, what we're doing here, regardless of your standing seated position, we're just bringing the chin to the chest. If you want a little bit more easily, please, you push the back of the head down a little bit. But try to think a little bit more like you're lengthening the back of your neck. You're kind of pulling the back of the neck long before you push it down a little bit. Try not to round your upper spine too though, okay? All right, big inhale, please. Let's keep going here. The neck's like the spine, and there's all these crazy different motions, so we can't spend too long here. Let's lift the chin up now. Now, there is this thing we do. You want to try to close your mouth and bring the tongue to the top of your mouth so you can see how this moves. We're lifting up here. It's pulling everything up. So watch, I'll bring the tongue to the top of my mouth. Watch how everything hugs up more. See that? Then with that, I do want the tongue at the top of the mouth. The whole tongue at the top of the mouth, and then lift your chin. You should feel like a deeper stretch through the mid-neck. There is one more addition where I kind of pull down on the, I like to say the meat, like the chest muscles and the skin a little bit. It's also another very important stretch, yogis. We're looking down a lot. The cell phones, the computers, the down at the plate, the dog. We're always looking down. So it's good to make sure we're kind of stretching out the front of the neck. Our first go at that was more of the Sphinx, okay? So here we go. Let's keep it going, yogis. Let's sit up. I'm not gonna do twist right now because we'll do that when we lay on our back. Let's sit up nice and tall. Right ear, right shoulder, please. Back to center. Left ear, left shoulder. Big inhale, please. Back to center. Now this is, everyone does neck circles very casually, but I want you to do a search. I've done it many times. The dangers of big neck circles. Just search on Google. Every chiropractor in the world has an article on it. Sit up tall and just start with slow, light neck circles. Okay. This is the most complex movement of your spine, basically. And the neck doesn't ever move like this. So say your neck joints haven't moved like this in a year, and then you start forcing it all fast in there. Remember I said the thing about not having adequate blood flow in the muscles? If the muscles aren't functioning properly or, to their full potential, I said you increase the chance of injury, muscle strain, even joint irritation. Basically, the new advice is to exercise hungry. Right? So not easy, but and there are certain cases. Remember, there's always exceptions to the rule. Not certain blood sugar things going on, and
certain other conditions. So, take that with a grain of salt. So let's do our second side. The study that came from, actually, the eating before, the injuries by 10,000%, it was with soccer players. They did these tests where they had soccer players in off-season practices eat in these intervals, and they monitored injuries and strains because they were like semi-pro, and if I remember correctly, and then thousands of soccer players, and they found that the groups who would eat, there was all these different age ranges. There was no indication that age played a difference, but the people who ate closer, the real finding was the closer you eat, the more likely you are to be injured. So you eat like right before. You've heard the old rule: don't eat before swimming, right? Similar. Okay. So let's keep going here. One last shoulder stretch. Now, I have a couple options. We did this one, right? We did actually this earlier, so we did lat. So that's that big muscle there. Here's chest. Now I want to do our back right through here, okay, is what we're kind of lacking. And what's also nice about this stretch is it gets outer shoulder. So this kind of goes together. Just to start, if you want to go like this. I often read these scientific studies, and I want to send them out in the emails so you can get the true feedback. Okay, so you just give your shoulders a circle. If you want to circle your shoulders a little bit like this too. So this is our another really big shoulder stretch. It also comes all the way from the rhomboid, right from the spine, all the way around to down the outer arm. Okay, my right arm would go across, my left arm would hook. There's not really a better way to do this. You could hold on to something, you could lay and compress it, but straightening that arm, pulling that arm across, pulling the elbow back. Now, say you don't feel much, right? You're like, maybe my acromion deltoid is not too tight. Maybe you do this one. It's like a tricep stretch. I'll let you decide of one more arm stretch of choice. Because some people get a lot of tightness in the back of the arm. I don't really get that as much ever. I don't really feel much here, but I'll tell you right here, I do. You can't do every stretch of every muscle. It's just not possible in a class. So I like to kind of give you some options. Let's do our second side. Yep, feeling this a lot. And you can see the muscles that pull here. You see how that lengthens across? That's the definition of a stretch, basically. It's lengthening a muscle. Whereas strength is usually described initially as shortening a muscle, because your muscle sliding mechanism, the cross bridge sliding. That's how it contracts. This literally shortens to pull this arm bone to the shoulder, and then it lengthens to release it. Really, this muscle actually shortens to pull it back. Okay, that's that pulley system I was mentioning. It's kind of all right. So when you're done with your shoulders, nice job there, yogis. You might want to loosen up a little bit, shake it out. We are going to make our way down to our back. And I did forget to mention, if you have a strap, that would be good. I meant to ask you to get one earlier, but I was kind of busy with my pup. So I do want to finish with a little bit of bigger hip stretching. So if you don't have a strap, what works nice is a pair of sweatpants or a beach towel. Belt. I know I'm sure everyone has a belt in their house, okay? So we're gonna lay on the back, take a moment, get in there, and we're gonna circle out a little bit. Nice job with the upper body. So we did neck and shoulders. Take a moment down here to kind of circle it out. I like to do this one here, where the knees come together toward the chest. They go wide, away from the chest, back together. And then you kind of switch directions. Because that's the hip circumduction. That's the hip circling we didn't do today. All right? Now, when you're ready, easiest is just this. If you're having severe back pain, maybe be easy. Easiest is here. A little bit stronger is here. A lot bigger stretch is the strap around the ball of my right foot.
All right, Yogi. So I have my yoga strap or my whatever I'm using here to pull on that foot. Close your eyes. Let's take a couple breaths here.
So ideally, we don't want the strap to like pull like deep into the arch of the foot. It's more like it's pulling the top of your foot towards your shin. Like a lot of times we say like flex that foot. Similar, but you're kind of doing it in a passive form. All right, if you're up for it, you're going to take that strap in your right hand. So the strap's still around your right foot, okay? You guys know this. Regulars, you know it. This is basics. Right hand takes the right foot open. So you can see from another angle. I'm here, straight in the middle, and I'm open now. Couple breaths here. This is biggest stretching of class, so it's okay to take it easy, guys. Don't let the ego do that thing where you're being lazy if you don't do it, or everyone else is doing it, I should be doing it too. That's a dangerous game to play, to try to like have to do everything everyone's doing. All right. Our final part here is the big twist. Easier is to release your strap. Take that right leg across the body. If you want to go big, keep the strap around your right foot. Your left hand now takes the leg across. So third and final part, right arm out, lengthen through the left leg and breathe. Do you notice I'm here, yogis? I don't want to be like here. Look at the left leg, be nice and long. You see this posture? Easier is just the bend knee across. So it's called a reclining spinal twist. Maybe the single leg is too big. Simply bringing both knees into your chest on your back and dropping them over to the left is totally adequate. I want to see if I can find this yoga quote. I have my notes in my phone. I have like 700 of them. I'm trying to look for this yoga quote about how the ego is hell on earth or something. It's so funny. It's a quote about how if you use your ego in practice, it can be hell, and if you don't, it can be heaven or something. It's really beautiful by some famous yogi. So listen, yogis, let's do our second side of our twist, our strap stretching. Leg up to the sky. After this, you're going to get a nice counter. So you're going to get like restorative bridge or restorative fish. This is going to take care of our legs up in the air. Yeah, go slow. Some of you is already way ahead of me. That's totally fine. I get it. This is a lot. You don't have to hold that long. So yeah, strap around left foot. You're pulling right in the center. Nice, Jesse. Nice, Laura. You're doing the classic version. Eventually, you can grab like your big toe there too. Some the peace sign fingers like grab the big toe. You don't have to do that. It's just another option in case you always do it like you were. The final bind there is where both hands seal like fingers around the heel. That's like the big yogi kind of traditional way, which you're flexible. You feel that around the heel, right? That's like that next level there. So our second part, whenever you're ready, is that open hip. So left hand takes strap or ankle. You don't want to grip probably too far to start, and then you open the left leg left. You should feel the stretch move more into the inner posterior leg. So a lot of people usually say this is, but it's a groin stretch. I'm like, no, it's both. It's groin and hamstring. Those two muscles work together. right, now, you're kind of on your own. I like to suggest that you make the own timing based on what your body is telling you. Second side of the twist is where the left leg comes up. Your right hand would take the strap. You might have to scoot your hips a little left, and then boom, it's a big old twist, okay? Most people would consider this the biggest stretch of class, right here. So I do want to remind you that that is all like forward bending in the form of hip flexion. Hip flexion is the psoas. It's a common muscle these days that people who sit too much have a tight psoas. And then when you stand up, it causes your back to arch and compress. Well, legs up is seated form. Your hips are at like a 90-degree flexion angle, right? So we want to notice that. This creates so many benefits, but also at the same time, when done too much, it could be, kind of, not making it worse, but, irritating a problem that exists, a tight psoas. So we want to recognize that and just do a counter position. Ideally, it's going to be hip flexion. Now, if you can't do that, it's abduction. So it's the butterfly legs. So when you're done with your twist, I want to make sure we do a counter. So I got two options for you. They're both big. This is called restorative bridge, right? So when the block pushing in, you can feel your hip flexors like disengage. Now, I don't recommend this for everyone, but full restorative bridge looks like this. Now the hips are higher than the leg. In the previous posture, your legs were higher than the hip. So now the hips switch positions. Okay, so notice my block. It's way underneath my lower butt. See that? Look where my waistband is of my pants. It's like 4 to 6 inches below my waistline of my pants. It's not in my lower back arch, yogis. Now, that's one option. If you feel like you didn't get a good Sphinx stretch earlier, you might want to you can get a counter for the hip flexors because we can release adductor magnus. So I put the block under my chest, I could let my head fall back, and then I let my soles of my feet come together and my knees fall open. You can feel it start to stretch the hip flexors right in here as well, okay? Arms can go wide. Let's pick one kind of supported, a little bit more restorative posture to close out our class here. If you don't have a block or a block is too stimulating, a pillow works fantastic, a yoga blanket. A lot of yoga supported positions are often thought to be restorative. Usually restorative fish or bridge, especially restorative fish, is done in restorative classes I take a pretty assertive approach. Not everyone has a bolster here, but in true restorative yoga, we'd have a bolster covering the block. Because what's happening, yogis, is you're disengaging all your muscles around your spine, and a blunt object and all your weight is pushing in your spinal column. So it can have a ton of benefits, but it also, you got anything going on, disc herniations, stenosis, that, certain spinal conditions, there's always exceptions to a rule. And then there's always exceptions to that too, right? So, when in doubt, it's best to proceed with caution. I'd rather have you not do it if something's telling you, like, something's not right here. Yeah, I want you to listen to that. So listen, yogis, you do have the option of doing another restorative posture. We did a good amount of stretching, quite a few shoulder stretches. Spine is all covered. Hips are pretty much covered. You know, we are lacking a little maybe like medial rotation. Um, we didn't do much wrists. We didn't do like the feet too much. Our down dog was really that. So if there is like one more stretch you want to do at the end of a class here, you're like all loosened up and stretched out. So if there's kind of one thing calling to you, I always try to suggest that, whatever type of class it is, try to give you a moment just to listen to your body and, you know, apply something based on what it's telling you. Like I try not to instruct you for a moment here. Um, I find that yoga teachers are too controlling, and you know, myself included. I want to think I know everything, but I want you to start to learn to trust yourself. Getting better at like a self-led wellness routine, body maintenance, exercise, physical activity, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, 1 to 2 minutes is good to start on your block. And then I'd like you to maybe take one last little pose or movement that feels good. Nice. Yeah, wrist stretch is good. A lot of you is going with legs up in the air. It's always good to do a lot of, especially if you have any achiness or swelling in the feet. You're walking a lot. And traditionally in yoga, even in a stretch class, we do irritate the body a lot. A lot of those stretches are on end ranges, and there's a lot of like, tension and achiness. So it is good to take a closing relaxation meditation. It doesn't have to be that long either, really. Ideally, the more challenging and stimulating the exercise routine, the longer this should be. The more, let's say, your nervous system is, if you've ever done like a hard workout, your nerves are like, sometimes you get in your car and you still have that like neural tension with you. And it's really good to calm that down deep, not just to normal, but even below like a neutral. So when you're done, looks like most of you are pretty much starting to relax. So um, I'd like you to kind of just lay on your back for a few minutes and maybe do a little breath work. Nice big inhale. We didn't really do a lot of breath work as a group. I'd like you to, stay here for as long as you can. And I'm going to say namaste from here, yogis. I do have my sauna and cryotherapy appointment that I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I did want to mention I am traveling. I'm going camping tomorrow. I leave about an 8-hour drive to Northern California. I'm roughing it for a week. I got to get out of the city for a little while, get a little bit more grounded. I am going to try to teach a class or two. I guess the cell phone reception is excellent. So I'm going to try to set up my friend I'm going with, he has a generator, and he said I should be able to, teach classes. He's still doing some of his, he's an accountant, so he's doing work in the woods. So I'm going to try to teach a couple classes. I will keep you updated via the email. Tomorrow morning's yoga core is canceled. Apologize for that, but I will be leaving very early, arriving tomorrow late afternoon. All right. But thank you, yogis. Really nice job tonight. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Laura, Bill, Pamela, Jesse, Kathy, Donna. Thanks, Kathleen. All right, I'll leave you guys. See ya.